Right hand of your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Any persons wishing to address the City Council on any item on today's agenda other than closed session and the public hearing may do so at this time.
Happy Thursday afternoon, one and all. It's interesting that we have the two items 8 and 9 for residential sound insulation on this agenda, when in fact at the LA City Council meeting Tuesday about the Los Angeles World Airport North Runway movement, golly, even though there wasn't a quorum here, none of you were there either. And that is really amazing to me. We talk about sound insulation, and sound insulation here. And as I've said before, you fail to consider the particulate matter that is of significant concern to many of this residents, the entire residential area. The AQMD has us as one of the worst areas for air pollution. And having had the opportunity to limit air flight over us, I think it's remarkable that no one from the City Council was present at the Los Angeles City Council. Now, wow, isn't that incredible? There were several people from Inglewood there. Unfortunately, none of our elected. And since you were not there, and we are here on a Thursday, I'd like to know which one of you were not available for the Tuesday meeting here. A lack of quorum. I know that at least 2 people were in town. I saw them on the streets. That means the favored few and the fearless leader apparently made arrangements not to be here together. I'm not sure what the hot item is on this agenda other than that sound insulation. And oh yes, did I forget to mention the $6,000 reimbursable dollars for the Madison Square Garden parking lot. Did we realize that that appraisal makes our property worth 1/4 what the property of Jordan Downs is? The Jordan Down properties are going for $2 million an acre. And you chose to lease with an option to purchase our properties on Century Boulevard for only $500,000 an acre. I'd be embarrassed as all get out to only get 1/4 of what anything is worth. And I go to the Goodwill store. But an asset of property is a significant asset. And this isn't you giving up your property. You gave up our property. Long after you're gone, that sale will have significant impact on the residents of this community in a pathetic way, because you sold us out in really cheapo fashion.
Gil Matthew, District 4. Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. I'm all in favor of the sound insulation, and I would urge you to proceed as rapidly as possible. Whichever money is available, use it in a hurry. And what you might do is refer this installation program to the Aviation Commission. There's many things happening, and they should be aware of it, because if they reconsider Part 161, many houses will not be insulated. And the Part 50. And there's a big dispute about Ontario involving LAX. Also, there's a big dispute with the other airports and regionalization. And I want to know if any part of the agreement prevents Inglewood taking the position on realization. And next, DR2, parking. That is not the best use of the property. I mean, I don't know how you can hold your head up when you have 30, 40,000 cars going past an area and you're talking about a parking lot. Also, I'd like to know that if a payment was made to the low moderate income housing fund, which is the trust fund, I have a letter that you would do on April 11th under severe penalties to pay $16,379,496. And here again, I tell you, we have to do something about the financial condition of this city. We've already completed the second quarter, and we're going into the third quarter, and it's gonna be a problem. And also on payment of the bills. I have an item, check number 528181. And it was dated 11/29/12. I think we need a
Okay, your time,
report on that.
your time, Mr. Matthews.
Thank you very much, sir. You have a good afternoon.
You too.
And just a minute, see, these chairs are difficult
Sir,
to sit in.
sir, you're at time
No,
right
I'm telling you, you took the chair that I was sitting in,
I
or
didn't-
whoever took it.
I
Wait
didn't
just a
take
minute.
any-
All right,
Well,
no
sir,
problem, no
please sit
problem,
down.
No problem, okay.
Thank you.
But these chairs are too low for anybody that have a walker to get up.
My name is Willie A.G., and I live in the beautiful city of Inglewood. Proud of it. There's been a lot of conversation about the parking lot. First of all, it's not on Century Boulevard. It's between 102nd and 104th Street, and it was nothing but deserted buildings that has been being torn down. A lease is not a sale. When the lease expires, then the city have the option to sell the property for whatever they desire. It's not a giveaway. It's a cleanup. It's a cleanup. That's what it is. I'm very proud. I was by there this morning. Very proud that they're cleaning all those old houses up there, and it's gonna be decent. And I'm proud. Thank you.
I'm sure you clear up that misinformation there. You have a chance.
Good afternoon, my name is Tafari Pipersburg. I'm a resident of Inglewood for about a year now. I'm here to talk about the DR1. I went to the Southway Workforce today and every day looking for employment. And I got this flyer today. It talked about local hire outreach and the forum renovation. At the Faithful Central Church, the living room, 33 West Florence. I got this flyer at 12 o'clock today, and it said to be there between 10 o'clock to 12. I was already late. It's very difficult for a person in my situation who is striving to look for employment, doesn't have the means to get to places for these interviews because I don't have the finances to get there, and to get these flyers to where it doesn't get to us on time. I also got hired on a job a few months back through a construction company. I was hired for 2 weeks. I got child support, my children, I got rent, I got my regular means to eat. I'm on GR now and it's not enough. And it's just really, really, really hard to, it's just really hard to obtain employment with really no solid help from these resources that we're getting. The workforce, I mean, it just, the South Bay, I just, it's overwhelming. And I thought I would come over here and say something. That's really all I have to say. I just think that there's a lot of people in my situation out there who are willing to work, who are looking for longevity, not jobs that would just pay you for a couple of weeks of work and then just let you go. Looking for more longevity. And I just thought I'd come and address that. I don't know how far it would go. I don't know if it can help anything. I'm just trying every avenue I can possibly to try to get somebody to understand how difficult it is for people in our
Sergeant Arm.
situation out here to get work. And that's really all I wanted to say. You guys have a nice day.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Could the gentleman restate his name, please, one more time for the record?
Tafari Pipersburg.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council. I was out to that madhouse this morning, and there's no way to figure out how you're gonna get a job. I need a job too. Now, if y'all gonna spend Inglewood's money on a job, definitely wanna get out there on the job and do the same thing I did on this last job, is to make sure that they will hire some of the people from Inglewood. Morales, you got quite a few, and I didn't realize it, living in your neighborhood. They thanked me when they got out there. Stevenson, you got a whole bunch of them. And Miss Dunlap, you got a whole bunch of them. I know y'all fighting for a job. But Mayor, I stood out there, I talked to them young people. I said, if you can't get a job here, take the Army. I know you don't want that, but you know, you don't want that for the work, is take the Army. Because these people here is not gonna help you. I found one man out there, he's supposed to send me an email to tell me when to come see him down at the farm. And I have to ask for a special job because my job, my retirement don't let me do anything, but it let me do most things. And I'm gonna be there Monday to see him. I was out there a week ago or 2 weeks ago with the city people. They treated your people like they was a DOG. No, you can't do this, you can't do that. And it's your money. Now, I don't mind somebody telling me, well, let's talk about it. That's the lie they said a long time ago, let's talk about it. Now, they tell you right to your face, no. And I didn't know, Mr. Fields, that I had to get with you to get a paper picker. You really moving down the ladder, ain't you, baby? I still ain't got the paper picker. You know what a paper picker is? It's the one you take it home, pick the paper up, put it in the bag. Now, y'all wasting my money. I don't like that. I don't even allow my wife to waste my money. Account for my money. Every 90 days, you got to account for it with my wife. Now, I see you done changed the agenda. I like that. Come up here and talk first. Tell y'all what I want you to do, and get up here and walk out of here. Now, your cell phone went off. I thought it was mine, bro. But anyway, Mayor, you was there. You seen all them young people, and I talked to them about something that's special, education. Because if you don't have if you're not educated, oh, y'all putting the time on, if y'all want to quit, I quit. Because it ain't gonna help none what I'm saying. God knows y'all giving me the same thing happened back in the early 50s. If you people up there can't control our money, who can?
10 seconds.
You get your pay. You said something? Would you tell my time up? Well, you should have told me, man, when it was 5 minutes ago. Thank you. Have a nice day, and I hope God bless you.
Thank you, Mr. Burke.
But y'all ain't giving these people nothing.
Thank you, Mr. Burke. Closed public comment. Item 1, CSA 1 and
Mr.
H1.
Mayor, point of order. I think the young man right there would like to speak.
It doesn't have to be a point of order. Sir, next time, please come forward.
I'm speaking on
DR1. My name is Jonathan Malcolm, and I went to the job fair. It was more like a conference to me. It didn't really help me try to get any work or career. It's just talking about more school, and I'm attending school right now. When I went to the job fair today, all they was talking about not resumes, but internships and journeyman, so that you could take another 5 years. It didn't say anything about work next month, and everybody that was there was talking about the work that they helped get you ended out 2 weeks later, like the other gentleman was talking about. And I just wanted to know how this is helping Inglewood and helping us young folks try to get better work and stay out the streets. And that's all I had to say.
Thank you, sir. Closed public comment, item 1, CSA 1 and H1.
Move allow payment of the bills. Second.
Madam City Clerk.
Councilmember Stevens,
Aye.
Dunlap,
No.
Morales,
Aye.
Franklin,
Aye.
Mayor Buds.
Aye. PH1.
Oh, we don't have a public.
Oh, we don't
Yeah,
have any.
but you
Let's
rescheduled.
get it, my bad.
No, it's true, Mayor. It's PH1. It's being rescheduled for May 7th.
Oh,
See, I don't have that
then
in my
on the other, that's what I was telling you, was it on the other?
Oh, this
No,
matter will be
it's-
considered at the regularly
it's
scheduled city council meeting on May 7th, 2013, at 2 p.m. Consent calendar items 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Move adoption.
I second.
Madam City Clerk.
Councilmember Stevens,
Aye.
Dunlap. Dunlap,
Aye.
Morales,
Aye.
Franklin.
Aye.
Mayor Buds.
Aye. DR1.
Staff report recommending approval of an agreement with South Bay Work Enforcement Investment Board and the City of Inglewood to provide on-the-job training revenue.
Move approval.
Second.
Madam City Clerk.
Councilmember Stevens.
I like staff report.
Good afternoon, Mayor, members of council. My name is Michael Falco. I'm the Assistant City Manager. The item before you, DR1, is an on-the-job training revenue agreement between the City of Inglewood and the South Bay Workforce Investment Board. You may recall back in December of last year, the city became the administrative entity for the South Bay Workforce Investment Board, and one of the benefits that the South Bay WIB can provide is a partial reimbursement agreement for items, for potential personnel that may work here at the city, typically part-time employees. In this particular case, the agreement here provides an on-the-job training for staff that may be made available for various departments. In this particular case, we are looking to take advantage of the South Bay WIB's grant opportunities to help in the funding of our police cadets and also other department personnel as may be necessary and budgeted. What this item will provide is a 50% reimbursement up to a maximum dollar amount of $5,000 for various part-time employees to work in the city as provided for by the South Bay WIB. In this particular case, we already have police cadets, as you know, that work in the police department, so this will provide 50% of the funding. What the police department intends to do is, since they've already budgeted funds for the police cadets that they have, they will leverage the 50% match of the $12,400 to actually bring on 2 additional police cadets.
Thank you.
I'm happy to answer any questions.
So, Mr. Falco,
Yes, sir.
this funding is specifically for the police department for police cadets, correct?
What I mentioned, what's allocated there for the $12,480 is specifically the portion that is allocated for the police department police cadets. However, this agreement provides for staffing for other departments as well within the city. We don't know what those are yet, so I couldn't put anything in there. Basically, what would happen is if, for example, the finance department had need for a finance clerk, and there was budgeted allocation for that 50% that we have to match, that the city has to provide, then the finance department could come and request to hire a part-time person, and instead of paying 100% of that, in this case, the example I used was a finance clerk, the South Bay WIB would pay the other 50% up to the maximum dollar amount. But again, it does have to be, and I point this out in the staff report, that the position has to be already included and budgeted in the existing fiscal year 2012-2013 budget. It's not necessarily available for just the hiring of general part-time employees. Has to already be in the budget, so there would not be a mechanism available for us to just simply hire someone unless there was funding available to match that 50%.
So then we do not have a hiring freeze on here at the City of Inglewood then after all, do we?
This is not anything related to a hiring freeze.
Well, if you are in fact hiring a cadet, if in fact you have a position that may have been budgeted in the previous budget, and if you have to have already funding, then as what was stated here a year ago, Mr. Falco, we do not have a hiring freeze. Whether the position was funded or whether it was not funded, the main issue is that you are in fact going to hire someone that is going to require training, which is the purpose of this, be it a police cadet or someone else in, as you stated, the clerk's office. You've hired someone. So if you've hired someone, then that means you do not have a hiring freeze. So my concern, ladies and gentlemen, is that we've gotten into a point, as you heard as Mr. Falco stated, we would not necessarily just hire people from the general public, correct?
No, sir, I didn't say that. What I said was to the best of my knowledge, I can certainly ask the council since you're in session now, but I don't recall there being any directive from council to impose a hiring freeze of any sort. We do hire part-time employees to fill necessary vacancies quite frequently. The paperwork comes through the Human Resources Department, and typically I will sign off on that. If the budget division says that the budget does provide an allocation for that, typically it could be a resignation, it could be someone getting promoted, or some other reason for the vacancy, and then that would go to Mr. Fields for approval. But to my knowledge, there's no council-imposed hiring freeze. The second part of your question is hiring from the general public. Well, of course, that would be the reason that you would provide for hiring. It wouldn't be internal people that are already here.
Well, I didn't quite get that far down the road, but I see you knew where I was going with this. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, so the intent of the on-the-job training agreement between the city and the South Bay WIB is to provide for a 50% match for us to be able to offer opportunities for let's call it members of the public to, basically potential job applicants through the South Bay WIB. They could place someone here in a department, say in finance, as I mentioned. They could put someone in finance as a, finance clerk or a customer service or something.
Mr. Falco, with 1 minute left, you've taken about 3/4% of my time, and I appreciate your long answers. But here's my point, sir, and I must say this to the public. I have great concern in this city because it seems as though the people who are being hired are friends of friends. Now, I see Mr. Fields has left. We have an individual works on this in this city who came here when we did have the hiring freeze, was hired through one of our departments in this city, was moved from department to department, yet we had a hiring freeze on, and he's here to this day. And he, nice young man, I have no problems with him, but what I have an issue with is that we are not operating on a level playing field here. The people who are paying the bills, as you see, as they come up here to the microphone, have stated, they basically are they're being placated. When we have the South Bay workforce, an entity that we help finance, what we've allowed to come back here to this city, they have come here, and a person receives an advertisement of the form, no less, of Clark Construction, the proposed jobs to be provided by Clark Construction at the forum, and they receive it in the final hour, the final minute, 12 o'clock this afternoon, and they're at the South Bay workforce, and they did not know of the job until 12 o'clock today. Excuse me, I've got an issue with that. I've got a problem with that.
Your time, Councilman. Madam City Clerk.
Comment, Mayor?
Councilman Franklin.
Mr. Falco, would you be so kind to share with us, this opportunity is not the first time that we've had this experience of being able to use part-time help during the time that other funding is available that will help benefit to provide the service for the cities. Particularly, you have shared, along with Mr. Fields, that there currently are some individuals, including on the 9th floor, that is being used based on other funding mechanisms, not by the city. And if you don't mind, would you can elaborate just a little bit on those individuals, which is in concert with what the item we are addressing today? You would be-
Yes, sir, thank you. That is precisely correct. What we have done in the past and in multiple departments have been able to take advantage of the funding availability through the South Bay Workforce Investment Board. Not only are we providing training to various individuals, but it provides quite a substantial service to the city. I can give you numerous examples in our technical support department, or the Information Technology and Communications Department Technical Support Division. We have trained a number of people who have been provided to us actually free of charge for 8, 10, 12 weeks plus, because they've been available through the South Bay WIB. We then have transitioned other staff. We've brought them in. We have someone on the 9th floor who's assisting us now while we have an employee who's away on extended leave. And what it does is it relieves the general fund of the burden, but still provides the city with that resource and that service. In the case of this particular agreement, which, as you pointed out, we have done multiple times in the past, similar arrangements where we have a sharing, or what we call a match, it provides us with the resource at half the cost, in this case, of what it would cost us had we budgeted the 100%.
And following along with that same comment, as we're going into the future, into the summer, we also have a number of high school students and entry-level college students that are interested in working with the city for the Parks and Recreation Department, such as our future lifeguards. We have our luncheon programs, in which we have people come in that work on the part-time program, where other funding, grant funding, is brought into us to help offset, to be able to compensate those individuals for that period of time. So this is comparable to what we're now looking at today.
100% correct.
All right, thank you, Mayor.
Madam City Clerk?
Councilmember Stevens,
Aye.
Dunlap,
Aye.
Morales.
Aye.
Franklin.
Aye.
Mayor Buds.
Aye. DR2?
Staff report recommending adoption of a resolution amending the fiscal year 2012-13 budget for the reimbursement of professional services costs related to the off-street parking lease agreement between the City of Inglewood and MSG Forum LLC.
Move items 1 and 2.
Second.
Madam City Clerk?
Well,
Council-
actually, Mayor, I was assume you would clarify the record for the member of the public who spoke with regard to this item.
Madam City Clerk?
Excuse me, Mayor, a member of the public spoke and they
Madam City
apparently.
Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Stevens.
Excuse me, Mayor,
Staff
I'm
report.
speaking. Good afternoon,
Good
Mayor.
afternoon, Ms. Adams.
Mayor, members of the City Council. This item is a request of the council to approve a budget amendment. The purpose of the requested budget amendment is to allow the city to pay for services rendered during the city's negotiation of the lease agreement that the City Council approved on March 12th between the city and MSG Forum for parking lots in the area of Century Boulevard and Prairie Avenue. As a part of that agreement, the city entered into 2 professional services agreements, and both of those professional services agreements were paid for by the applicant, MSG Forum LLC, in the total amount of $18,000. This budget amendment would allow the city to take the $18,000 that has been deposited by MSG to the city's finance department, and to use that payment to pay for both the real estate appraisal services in the approximate amount of $10,000 and the environmental services invoice that was in the amount of about $6,000. So staff is requesting council approval of the budget amendment to allow us to pay the bills for both of those services associated with that parking lease that was approved by council.
Thank you.
Ms.
Comments?
Tatum, I have a question. Has the services been rendered totally at this point?
That's correct. Yes,
They've
sir.
been totally, they've completely completed all the work to be done?
That's correct.
Okay, well, thank you.
Ms. Dunlap?
Yes, actually, Mayor, as chair, I was hoping you would take the opportunity to clarify for the member of the public who spoke regarding the lease with option to buy on this property. I just want to clarify the facts, and Mr. Saunders, please correct me if I'm in error. But it's my understanding of that MSG has a lease with an option to buy. The city cannot raise the price at any point in time. They have the right
I think they're paying 37 cents a square foot right now with their lease, with a fixed purchase price at the end of 7 years. If they choose to buy the property, they will buy it at the amount in this agreement that was adopted by the city council. Is that not true, Mr. Fields?
Those facts are correct.
Thank you. I just want to clarify, there's a member of the public who believed that the city didn't have to sell it or somehow could charge a different rate, and I just wanted to clarify for the record. Thank you very much, Mr. Fields. Thank you, Ms. Tatum.
Madam City Clerk.
Councilmember Stevens,
Abstain.
Dunlap,
Aye.
Morales,
Aye.
Franklin,
Aye.
Mayor Butts.
Aye. CM1. A1.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. There was a closed session held as to CS1, closed session confidential, attorney-client privilege, potential litigation under Government Code Section 54956.9, subsection C, Time Warner Ray Peg fees. Discussions were held, directions were given, however, no final action was taken. And that concludes the report out of closed session for this afternoon.
A2.
Mayor, I'd like to speak on CS1, please.
All right.
Yes, Mr. Fields, do you have staff available to speak with regard to PEG fees, exactly what they are, not about this particular closed session item as it pertains to the confidential matter, but exactly what are PEG fees, what's the percentage, and why, what we have to do to become eligible for them? If they're not, like right here, I know staff is here, maybe we could go on and do a couple other items and they can come out and speak to it, please.
You're right, you're correct.
Well,
Staff is.
hold on, Mr. Fields. This is an agenda item.
Right now.
It says PEG, yes, I'd like some information on PEG to be put
What
out.
I'm saying is-
I've actually proposed my question. I don't need to repeat it.
Well, actually, Mr. City Attorney, this isn't agendized, is it?
Yes, it is. It says CS1.
Oh, it has been agendized. It was agendized for closed session where we discussed this Time Warner matter.
And as I made very clear,
Yeah, we discussed it in
Mayor, I am
closed-
not yet-
I know we did, but should it be discussed in open session?
I'm not discussing the confidential matter that was
Well-
spoken about in closed session. I'm asking for general information with regard to PEG, Time Warner. How are we eligible for these types of fees?
Well,
So
it's-
if we could, excuse me,
It's
please.
not on this agenda.
Would you stop interrupting me? It most definitely is. It's called CS1. It says PEG. So I'm asking Mr. Fields or another staff member if you could speak to how we qualify for PEG fees. It says very specifically PEG fees.
Well, I had a,
Hold on, Mr. Fields.
I had a staff member available in closed session to discuss that. I can't opine specifically, but we in the city, we believe we can recover PEG fees from Time Warner.
Mr. Saunders, all due respect, I do appreciate what you're saying, but that is what we discussed in closed session.
Right.
But I'm asking something more general from the city manager, and we have a staff person who oversees this program. Exactly what does PEG stand for, Mr. Fields? And please, how is it we're eligible for whatever amount of money we believe is owed to us, which is closed session, but with regard to how are we eligible for it? You have a staff member who's over this program. Either if you would please elaborate for the public or have that person come out, I'd appreciate it.
Well, actually, Mr. Fields, I'm going to make a ruling. I don't feel that this is on the agenda.
Well, you're wrong. It is on the agenda. It's
It
called
is on the
CS1.
agenda as a closed session item.
I'm not discussing the confidential.
Would you please, I'm not
No, no,
interrupting.
actually,
I'm
you
not-
are interrupting
I'm not
me.
interrupting you. No, actually, I'm making a ruling
You're
as
not-
a chair.
you're-
And at some point, you're going to have to accept that.
No, I don't.
That there is a chair. But
No.
anyway, it's my opinion that the closed session item was reported on, it was discussed in closed session, it's not on the open agenda, and we're not going to add it as a discussion item. And Mr. City Attorney, if I'm wrong, you let me know.
Mr. City Attorney, in the past, anything that's on.
Mr. City Attorney, I asked
Excuse
you a
me,
question.
it's still on my time, if you don't mind. You actually interrupted me, which is a violation of our rules of decorum, which you tend to do on a
You asked for
regular.
something that can't be
But
done. But go ahead.
That's not true, Mayor.
Mr. City Attorney.
It says PEG
I
fees,
believe-
it's on the agenda. I asked for a definition, explanation of PEG fees and how we earn them.
Mr.
That's
City
appropriate.
Attorney.
I believe all those questions were really properly addressed and asked for in closed session because we don't have it on an open session agenda.
Thank you very much.
And staff was available to answer any and all questions about that in closed session.
Thank you.
Actually, Mr. Saunders, since it's still on my time, Mayor, I have a minute and 35 seconds.
Go right ahead.
The questions in, with regard to closed session dealt with the closed session having potential litigation. All of the questions regarding potential litigation were responded to in the closed session. The public has a right to know, when they look on an agenda that says PEG fees, they have a right to know what are PEG fees. It's certainly permissible under the open session to discuss those items which are not confidential. I'm very disappointed that you would go along with the mayor, I'm saying censoring information to the public because they have a right to know what it is. Thank you.
Thank you. A2?
Verbal reports.
Thank you. CC1?
No verbal reports, thank you.
CT1, Madam City Treasurer?
Thank you, Mayor.
Could we turn that phone off?
Yeah, I'd just like to, I certainly want to commend the council today for their approval of the item on the agenda, DR1, which had to do with human resources from the South Bay Workforce Investment Board. I've been fortunate to be able to have gotten individuals to work in my office, you know, from that entity at no cost at all to the city. So I'm much appreciative of that. And as a matter of fact, I have a person waiting now that's going to be working in my office that will be coming also through the same source, and I'm going to get at least 2 months of basically, you know, free work that's going to be paid by the South Bay Investment Board, and then that person will fill into my payroll. But I'm very appreciative of the council for having moved forward to approve that item, because that person has been waiting now for about 4 weeks. And also, I'd like to point out also, I am going to be making some small changes to the Treasurer's report, and I'm going to add a category, earnings dash debt service, to the report that has to do with the successor agency, because to look at the report, it kind of looks like it's generating very little interest. When you see that the grand total of cash and investments is like $107 million, you see very little dollars reported for interest earned. And that's basically because the categories under bond proceeds U.S. Bank and cash and investment with fiscal agent U.S. Bank. The interest that has been generated has been taken by U.S. Bank for debt service. And then U.S. Bank in turn will give us a notice as to how much interest has to be, how much debt the city has to send with regards to service of debt on these bonds. So I will be adding that category so you can see that there is interest generated, but it's been taken automatically by U.S. Bank for debt service for those bonds. And basically the only funds for the successor agency that's actually generating any interest is primarily the savings with the PFIC account and the public fund investment account, and also the money account, which is paying very, very little interest, period, because interest rates are quite low these days, and that's only about $32,000. And the large number, which is the Bank of America operating, that's the general fund, that's of course not generating, you know, any interest at all. So I think that will, you know, kind of add some clarity to that particular statement that will be reflected in next month Treasury's report. And interest rates, again, tend to still be quite low, even in the 2-year range. It's only at 0.35%, upwards to 1.03 for the 5-year period. Oh yeah, and again, just back to the Treasury report again, I had also sent an email to the council regarding those bond proceeds, and I've asked in the past for like a drawdown schedule as to when those funds might be utilized with the council for various projects for the successor agency. That way we can possibly put those funds to see in some higher yielding investment vehicles. When that bond deal was initially floated back in 2007, I initially invested those funds in something called a GIC, G-I-C, that's Guaranteed Investment Contract. And at that time, the GIC was paying upwards to 5.5% interest, which meant that, of course, we would have gotten some great returns that would have essentially paid for most of the debt service for those bonds. But as you may remember, many of the GIC providers fell under difficult times, you know, in 2008, and many of them went out of business. And when they went out of business, some of them was also downgraded by Standard & Poor's. And once they was downgraded by Standard & Poor's, they had the option to either find another provider that will be willing to pay us upwards to the 5.5% that we were getting, or they could give us our money back. Guess what they chose? Give our money back, because there was no one really available, willing to, to take on that burden of paying 5.5% in a declining interest rate environment. So that's why we had to find other vehicles to invest the funds.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Public comment, any person who wishes to address the City Council on any matter connected with city business not elsewhere considered may do so at this time.
Mr. Mayor, Council, my name is Joseph Texera. I'm asking this council to remove James Butts as council chair because last week he again demonstrated that he cannot be trusted to tell the truth. I recently pointed out how hypocritical and dishonest Butts was to condemn others for criticizing the city clerk's handling of an election when he himself literally made a spectacle out of himself at a July 20th, 2010 city council meeting when he angrily criticized the clerk's handling of his election issue. This is a copy of the city's own DVD of that city council meeting, where, before he was mayor, an angry, snarling James Butts repeatedly implied that the city clerk and or her staff were trying to pull something crooked with an election. Butts repeatedly disrupted the council meeting by refusing to leave the speaker's podium when his time was up, and he repeatedly yelled out from the audience, forcing Ralph Franklin, the mayor pro tem at the time, to yell at James Butts and order the sergeant of arms to restrain Butts. James Butts said that the city clerk, Yvonne Horton, was involved in an election investigation where the facts were, quote, obviously being manipulated, unquote, lying. And Butts said Horton and her staff had, quote, misrepresented the facts to obtain a desired outcome, unquote, lying about election matters. Last week, Butts tried to deny that he accused Horton of anything improper. He said he didn't talk any longer than his allotted 3 minutes. But of course, he lied. In fact, I'll give $100 to the first city official, Inglewood resident, or newspaper publisher who can disprove with the city's own DVD that James Butts asked Ralph Franklin for an additional minute to speak that night. Then he repeatedly refused to leave this podium after he spoke for over 4 minutes. Butts eventually tied up the podium for about 5 minutes. If the mayor's telling the truth, it's an easy $100. Any council member can just use their closing statements to play it right up there on the screen. Prove me wrong, take my money. I'll even loan you the DVD. You see, that's why the mayor has gone to such great lengths to deny Inglewood's residents their right to use audio or video in these meetings. Because if we could do that, the public would see and hear on a regular basis indisputable proof that James Butts lies to cover up his own negligence, hypocrisy, and dishonesty. Not even the mayor's sycophants can argue with the city's own DVDs or IPD's own 911 tapes. That evidence is just too powerful. So the mayor violates the Brown Act and the rules of these meetings and hides the facts from the public. Last week, Inglewood's Today's Willie Brown told me that he tries to be fair with his stories. But if Inglewood Today isn't being paid to be an attack dog just for the mayor and his cronies, Willie Brown should either make himself a quick $100 and prove me wrong about the mayor's lying, or print a story documenting the mayor's dishonesty and hypocrisy. James Butts has helped violate the law, people's civil rights, the rules of these meetings, and he has repeatedly lied to the public. He should be removed as council chair. May I have another minute?
No. Please. What? I said no.
My name is Diane Zambrano. Anyone who doesn't think that the lease had an option to purchase can actually look at it themselves. You see, I actually read the backup. You know, I think apparently we forgot what the Brown Act is, because the Brown Act does say that a reasonable person should be able to decipher blah, blah, blah. You know, in the past you had the parcel numbers up there. Yes, some of the properties are on Century. Wow. But then you'd have to know how to look up a parcel number, because apparently the city attorney thinks we all are clairvoyant and know what parcel numbers are. So I'm going to assume, just because I can make assumptions, that PEG is for personal, ego, and graft. That must be what it is. because no one wants to tell us what it really is so that the public can actually find out. So I'm going to assume that it actually does define the egomaniacal behavior and the graft that takes place behind closed doors. Now, we heard that we don't need to put minutes in the real old-fashioned way because we have that brand new technology. Does anyone remember what these look like? Guess what? If in fact we kept our minutes on these and our tapes on these, we couldn't actually see them in very many places, could we? So no, the minutes should be actually printed. And it is an insult to this community when we try to keep the entire thing kind of, well, if you happen to have the latest technology. No, it should be for everyone. Our city attorney should know that, and I'm sure Terry Frank will get back to you about that. You probably know that name. But, you know, it just always amazes me, as much as we talk about supposedly the great relationship with the airport, why wasn't anyone from here there at that critical meeting? But that's okay. Residents will follow through on the lawsuit. Anyone who would like to contribute and find out more information, please go to the Westchester Senior Center May 4th. You can call, find out when it is if you don't believe me. You can go on the RSAC website. That's ARSAC. I want to thank Maxine Waters, Janice Hahn, Eric Garcetti, Bill Rosendahl, and Dennis Zine for standing up for the residents of this community. And it makes me so angry that someone has told the person who started that fight in this community he can't speak any longer. Isn't that a shame? Thank you, Mike, for all of your efforts in the past and in the future. Those of us who live in the city, will continue to live in the city, appreciate it.
Council, Mayor, Mr. Fields, can I get the paper picker? All I need is, why are you looking at the mayor? All I need is yes or no. No mean,
Mr. Byrd, would you finish your comment, please?
yes, sir, I know it.
Thank you, sir.
But there's certain things you need to know. If I can get the paper picker, I'm satisfied.
Okay.
But if he gonna sell down that whole $3 paper pickers, they call them, it just don't make no sense. Ma'am, can I get the paper pickers?
Mr. Byrd, I don't know what you're talking about. Please just finish your comment.
Don't beg me to do that.
I'm just saying, please finish. All right, thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council, and staff. My name is Aldine Salon. I'm from the First District. And I voted for my city councilman, Mike Stevens. And I found out that all councilmen are not created equal. Because some councilmen are locked out while others enjoy the privilege of being able to run through this building that my tax dollars are paying for willy-nilly, any office they care to go into. But the person that I voted for is restricted and has to get permission from the city manager? No. Everybody on that dais should be considered equal and should have access to whatever they need to have access to. I'm very, very upset. Very upset. And I would also like to know what PEG stands for. What is that fee? And I know I'm not going to get an answer. But, City Attorney, would you be kind enough to give me an answer to what PEG fee is?
Ms. Sly, finish your comments, please.
I'm waiting for a response.
Ms. Sly, finish your comments. We're not going to do a Q&A right now.
Okay,
But I'm
I
sure that
am going to
someone-
finish my comments.
Someone on the dais will tell
and
you what PG is.
Nobody
when-
will
No, it will
respond to
when
me.
it comes time to the council comments. Someone will tell you what that means.
And will they tell me also why one city councilman is being reprimanded for whatever reason? I'd like to get that answer too, on get ready to do your city council comments. I learned about it by accident. I was able to see it with my own eyes today. You guys, we voted for you, and we are not getting the services that we thought we were going to get. And I hope that higher authorities will come in and investigate, because something needs to be done. We're not getting any answers as citizens, and we expect them.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council, staff. My name is Stuart Bailey, I live in the 3rd District. I had 2 comments on 2 different subjects today. One, the advertisement for the employment at the forum today was advertised 2 weeks ago in papers, and I'm sorry that people were not informed of this employment opportunity at the forum, but it was advertised in the papers downstairs 2 weeks ago. And it's very disheartening to find out that people feel that the city is not doing a good job on telling people. Because the reason I say this is because I was very angrily came up here and was told that, you know, I didn't know that there were jobs opening in the city, and now I finally get the results that I was looking for in knowing that the city is opening up, telling people that there are jobs available in the city. And I just want to say, you know, thank you. And I'm sorry that the public is not looking at the papers downstairs at the information desk that is put out every Thursday. They put out 3 different papers. And in one of those papers, you'll find out that there is some things hiring in the city. My other comment on the MSG properties in Inglewood that is being sold, that people and the residents are saying that we're giving away. Well, if these properties have been in the history of this city for 20 years, non done anything with them, and we finally get a entity like MSG to come along and finally invest their money in the city, why are we complaining? I don't care if we give these properties away for 2 cents an acre. For 20 years, they sat vacant, with nothing going on. Why now do people complain about something that somebody wants to do, and y'all are complaining about money? The end result, what you should do as a resident is say, somebody's going to do something with the property after 20 years and nobody giving a damn about what's going on with this property. Like I said, I don't care if they invest 2 cents in the property. Something's going to happen to the property. And that's a good win for the city. And if you want people from the outside with the new rail line coming into the city to do business in the city, well, somebody's going to try and do something to help the residents get money to come to the city. Those are my comments. Thank you. Everybody have a good day and a good weekend. I know we're all tired.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey.
Dear Matthew, District 4 Mayor and City Council, I noticed there's some adjustments on these chairs, so it could come higher. Anyway, my councilman, I would hope that somebody would take leadership on this council immediately and censor this mayor and let him know exactly what his duties are. Now, it's unconscionable, and it reflects on all of you. and particularly my councilman, Mr. Franklin. You're a better leader than this. We elected you, and we expect more of you. The residents should not put up with this kind of nonsense. And the residents who are not here, listen to me. Apathy will ruin this city. And you can stay home and say how stupid it is and all the rest of the things, but you're just lazy. You're simply lazy. You don't take responsibility for your community. You don't identify with it, but yet you want all the things that's good in this city for free. And you can stay home, and then you're going to know what happened. What is happening right here, this city is going down the tubes. And Mr. Franklin, please help us. I live in District 4. I expect more of you. And if I can't get more of you, I will recall you and replace you. But you're a better person. And what has happened to you, I don't know. And the rest of you, Mr. Butts, you knew. Okay? You do not understand this city. You grew up here, but you left. And when you came back, it is different. You left Morningside in your senior year. Nobody knew what happened to you. You booked. So don't come here with all this, the point of destination and all this craziness. You got money, you got two different pots of money. And I still ask you, did you pay the successor agency's money? $16 million. Did you pay it or didn't you pay it? I have the letters. I have the letters that go to Ms. Cruz. It's on the internet. And then there's foolishness about the airport. As Ms. Grant said many years ago, either you don't know or you've been had.
Thank you, Mr. Raphael.
My name is Willie A.G. I live in the 4th District. I want to commend Ralph Franklin for doing one heck of a job. Keep up the good work. This city is going someplace, and that's good. I will vote for you time and time again. You don't have to be worried about being reelected. Mayor Butts, I supported you 110%, 200%, and I will support you again. I'm a disabled veteran. And I am so happy to live in a city that's progressing. And thanks to James Butts. Thanks for James Butts and Eloy Morales and Ralph Franklin that this city is progressing. The same people that ran Mayor Roosevelt Dawn away, trying to do the same thing to Mayor Butts. I'm just being honest. Every time we get a strong candidate, black people will try to pull him down. This time you won't pull Jim Butts down. He's gonna stand. So you can come up here and criticize all you want. This man is gonna stand. Because what he's done to this city, the people love it. Keep up the good work. I'm proud of you. You don't have to worry about the naysayers because they don't mean nothing no way. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Burt, please.
I just want to say one more thing in regards to employment. Came into the community about a year ago. My mother told me to come out here from my hometown, saying that there's better opportunity here in Los Angeles or in Inglewood. I was on parole. I was in the system for about 7 years, and now doing the same thing. It's my first time ever being off parole. This is my card to show proof of that. I had a friend the other day, we were going job searching, looking for jobs. He got shot. We just looking for work. They shot him in the leg. I don't know too much about this politics stuff that's going on here. I don't know what PG&E or PEG is. Kind of raises my interest now because I don't know what's going on. But I'll say that I make up about a good percentage of this community of individuals who are coming in and out of prison or who don't have the proper means or the proper education to get a good job. But we do turn to you guys, we turn to community resources to try to get work. There are good people out there who's really trying to get work. I'm not into this political world, but all I know is that there is some good people out there that are really looking for work. And we won't give up on trying to find work. We want to be better people in this community. We want to be good citizens in this community. But we do need the help. And that happened today. Every day I wake up, every morning, go to these resources places. This is what I use. It's not an iPhone. It's not a Galaxy 3. This is a Boost phone that actually I'm not even going to be able to pay this bill in 2 days. My bill's coming up. This is what I try to apply for jobs with. Every day I don't have a computer. I jump on the bus every day. I go to friends outside, get tokens to try to get to job interviews that my daughter just called me right now asking to come spend the summer with me. And I can't do anything for her. I can't bring her with me. All I'm saying is that
10 seconds.
if we can better our resources for people. I got this at 12 o'clock today. I was already late. This is when they brought it to the Resource Center, so that's what I'm here for. And I think that's what a lot of our community is about right now.
Thank you.
Hello, Inglewood family. I'm Wild Bill Widener, as you know. And I'm going to speak on the airport a little bit. That north runway getting moved 260 feet north is going to affect a lot of people. And you know, over in Westchester and Playa del Rey, they had a huge meeting over there, and they filled the Westchester High School auditorium, and it was packed. You could barely find a parking place anywhere around there. And there's a strong protest. Now, Inglewood is affected a lot more than Westchester or Playa del Rey. How come we're not there? How come the city, the news yesterday or day before, whatever it was talking about Westchester and Playa del Rey. Never mentioned Inglewood or the Inglewood protest. We're not hearing a word from it. How come? You're the leaders of this city. You should have the press in here telling them, we don't want that north runway. And if you do, at least fix all the houses that need to be fixed already. And because they're not even, the commitment on those aren't being done. So, you know, we need to move forward in a different way than we've been moving. You know, we can talk about expansions of Hollywood Park and the Forum and all that. That's not about anything in one sense, you know? Anyway, work hard on that because that definitely affects everyone. With those curtains open, you'd be able to see the jets flying right over, you know, and that'd probably be kind of a scary thing. So I don't know what it's going to take to wake you up. Doesn't Inglewood High School have an auditorium over here you could fill full of people? I bet you could. I bet you in Crozier and Inglewood at the same time. And Morningside, instead of over at the churches. You know, that's another thing. We're supposed to have a separation of church and state in the United States, and in the United States of Inglewood, we've got all kinds of weird things going on here that don't go on in the rest of the country. And how come? I don't know. But I'm interested in outcome, so I guess it's my time or something, but.
No, it wasn't your time. You can keep talking, sir. I just wanted to tell you somebody's on the phone. Any further public comment? Close public comment. Council comments. Councilman Stevens.
Oh, yes, I would just like to say for the public, one of the issues that I'm finding here in the city of Inglewood is dealing with the forum, is dealing with these apprenticeship jobs, is that it's about whom you know. As I stated earlier, we have a person who happens to know Mr. Fields. He's making close to $100,000 a year. He's been bounced from department to department. I can't go any further than that because I may violate some sort of, well, not even violate, really, just simply upset Mr. Fields. But here's more important than that. Dealing with the forum, residents went down the ramp on the southern side, colleagues, to the entrance at 11 o'clock in the evening on Wednesday. They were told by the security officer, if you come back at 6 o'clock, you can fill out an application. They returned at 6 o'clock, and as they were filling out their applications, and they had the applications there, as they described him, an Asian man came down, took the applications that were already in the stack, that were about this thick, at the form, took those applications and announced to those 3 individuals who came there that we're not taking any more applications. 3 more could not have possibly heard on a stack this high. And yet, that individual also said, as they described him, the Asian man, stated that we have no more positions available. So my question to colleagues is this: what are we really doing here? In reference to this, I brought forward an individual who would have represented the residents, represented the city in reference to a project labor agreement at no cost to the city. Colleagues, you rejected that. No cost to the city that would ensure that the residents of this city, that fair practices would be brought forward and then would have been adhered to, according to federal and state law. Remember, this is a tax increment. $18 million we're going to award to them after they spend a finite amount of their money based upon what their accountants state at the Madison Square Garden project. This gentleman contacted my office today and expressed to me that he was at the South Bay Workforce. This gentleman also worked at the Regent Street project, but he only had 2 weeks worth of work. Was it 1 week? Only worked there for 1 week. Yet how much did the Chandler development receive from this city? Millions of dollars. And he had no money invested in that project. But yet we provided him with millions and millions of dollars for a structure that he and his family will own, and they'll be set for the rest of their life. The reality is that, colleagues, we have to do better. We cannot continue to just sit here and just make these decisions and simply follow staff because we feel that they are some sort of wizard. We have to recognize that we have a responsibility to the working class residents of this city to represent their interests and not special interests, and look out for what is best for them. With that, I'll conclude. I hope everyone drives home safely. Have a wonderful evening. Good night.
Thank you. Councilwoman Dunlap.
Yes, I too would like to know what 3 members of the council were not available on Tuesday. 2 members were District 1 and 2. The other mayor, District 3 and 4, I was told were not available. I find that hard to believe that 3 people couldn't be here, because only 1 person needed to be here and we could have held our meeting at the proper time. With regard to when the timer is not working, it's very, very distracting to have people calling, your time is up, 10 seconds. Very, very distracting and rude. Very distracting and very rude. Cities who, they have timers, but also they have a little chime, or they do something that's soft, so it's not distracting. And so please, we need to do something else. I hope our microphones are working, our timers next time, but if they're not, please do something else other than interrupting the speaker. Because then they're trying to hear you like you're talking to them, and it just interrupts their train of thought. Also, I'm very concerned that a meeting that was lasting for less than an hour, that we will not permit discussion of items that are on the agenda. This is not a race against time. This is a public meeting for public information, for the dissemination of information. Mayor, I'm going to remind you once again that you are to facilitate information, not to censor it and block it from the public. And with regard to your role here, other than you're to sign all warrants and perform other duties as from time to time may be assigned to you by this council, all of us, in all other respects, you shall perform the same duties and have the same rights as any other member of the council. other than chairing, which I didn't mention too. The same rights. We were all equal here, or we should be. It doesn't seem to be that way. It's so disrespectful. Also, I'm very concerned, Mr. Fields, that when we have disabled members of the public up here, that we're not accommodating them as federal statutes require. So if we need to have, it's bad enough we're up here with no way down, stairs. But if we need to have, we had some chairs here that were suitable, we need to return those chairs. We cannot just have disabled people standing up because they can't sit in these chairs. That's unacceptable. I expect it to be fixed by next week. With regard to the sound insulation that was on the agenda, many of those units are apartments. I would like a copy of what we put into place to prevent the property owners from either raising rents based on our taxpayer paid for improvements and or evicting. This is what's been going on during the whole time of our program. You do a rental property, they either raise the rents and or evict the tenants or both. It's unacceptable, and I want to know what we put into place to prevent that. It's unacceptable. With regard to the community forum, the town hall this weekend at Westchester Senior Center, it is Saturday, May 4th at 1 p.m. The Westchester Senior Center, the address is 8740 Lincoln Boulevard, 8740 Lincoln Boulevard.
Ding.
I spoke on this topic at my town hall. It's completely unacceptable that we're sitting here as a body doing nothing. I've informed my residents about the runway being moved 260 feet north to impact North Inglewood for the first time in the history of this city. It's unacceptable, Mayor, and you need to act in leadership capacity, and we need to join a lawsuit, and I would like that on the agenda as initiative, Mr. Fields. If you would draft something up as my initiative to look into joining a lawsuit with Culver City, Westchester, and other residents of RSAC with regard to blocking that movement of that runway. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Morales.
Thank you. I'd like to address the gentleman that came in regarding the jobs. I was at the job fair today briefly, and I want to tell you that MSG and Clark Construction, their focus is to actually do bring jobs here. However, what the gentleman in the back mentioned in regards to the schools that are necessary, it appears that most of those jobs are construction jobs, and there is a portion of training that they require. While that may be a considerable amount of time before you get going, it's something that in the end makes a lot of sense, because that's how those construction jobs become prevailing wage jobs, and you get into a trade, because that's what they're trying to get you to do, go into a trade, which then would allow you to, after you work here at the forum, hopefully then you move over to another project, hopefully here or somewhere else, because that's what gives you the training. Now I can totally understand that some folks are in a difficult situation, but those are, some things that you have to go through. So I wish you guys the best of luck. We can only tell you the commitment that MSG has. They really do with Clark Construction. I will reiterate that to them in regards to what focuses that candidates can take, whether there's a short one to become, a trade that doesn't take that long, or if they're only offering the long-term ones. I don't know. But I will look into that. But when you were saying it, I just wanted you to know that it did make sense coming from their side, because that's how it usually works. So either way, good luck, and I will look into that for you. Outside of that, thank you guys for coming. Thank you, Mayor.
Fine. Councilman Franklin?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Let me piggyback with what my colleague Morales said, particularly for job opportunities. We have partnered with Jan Vogel, who's the Executive Director of Workforce Investment Board, and across the street from City Hall, they provide, the Department of Unemployment is over there to assist people that need the unemployment benefits, but more importantly, they have job opportunities posted regularly. Not knowing the background of individual skills and what you're bringing to the table, the jobs that they post, they also have telephones for you. They have computers for you to have access to. Many of the jobs now say we want a resume, or we want you to do it on electronically. They provide that free. So if you're really interested, and as you've indicated that you are an investment of your family, that's an opportunity that you may want to consider. I also.
Councilman, that's insulting. The man has been going there for over a year. That's very insulting. This man has been going there for over a year.
Councilman, please don't interrupt.
That is insulting.
Councilman, please don't interrupt.
It's far from being
again.
insulting, and let me elaborate even further since you brought it up, Councilmember Stevens, that in fact, I work in partnership with Jan Vogel and other agencies, and I post jobs weekly. Now, whether you qualify for those jobs or what skill level set you are, that we make available for the job opportunities available, not only locally, but some that you may know of friends or family that is outside of the Inglewood South Bay area. I also want to expand, and this has been one of the problems we're dealing with here, is in abiding with the posted decorum of the council meetings. You're addressing the council as a whole, but because there's individuals that come to the podium that want to do otherwise, you're identifying that we as a council then must address something differently. And so I want to identify that my one of my residents that spoke on trying to have me censor the mayor, and I said it's an injustice to this city. This mayor and the council majority made sure that when we're reaching out to make sure that now that the economic bubble is there, that we're on top of that bubble to move this city forward for job opportunities, economic growth, and reduction on which we're trying to have you as taxpayers increase the taxes. And so regardless of what you may want to say, I know what we're doing, and furthermore, it gets reinforced when we get accolades from business sectors in the city. We get accolades from the state and federal government that we as a city is in the right direction and the right path for the welfare of this community. And so I take it personally, and I will continue to do my best as long as I continue to serve you on this council. Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Hold on a second. Ms. Sly, it's public educational and governmental access. That's what PEG stands for. And as a 1% of gross revenues is assessed on video service providers. That's what it refers to. And we'll get your answer to your other question later. As far as the job outreach by Clark Construction, I'm sorry that the gentleman didn't receive notice until noon, but I will tell you this, between 900 and 1,000 other people did. The living room was packed to overflowing this morning. And as far as expectations, what they did was let you know what jobs will be available. They made sign-up available for people to be interviewed. They had union representation there to tell you what the union would do for you. And they also made it clear that they would provide training. And I find it hard to criticize that effort. This was the largest job fair and West attended and most comprehensive one that I've seen. So I'm sorry that you didn't get the message till noon, but close to 1,000 other people obviously did. We're moving in this city. We have jobs on the horizon. We're going to go from one of the highest jobless rates in the state to something much better in the coming years. And so I'm sorry that some people can't just see what's right in front of them. As far as the big deal about the parcels, yes, some of the parcels do have century frontage, but they're not desirable century frontage. The vast majority front 102. The largest parcel, it's about 200,000 some odd square feet, that does have pure century frontage. That is not part of this lease agreement. And I have to agree with Mr. Bailey. The reality is that the market takes care of sales of land. And this land has sat fallow for 25, some parcels 30 years. The reality is that we're getting something for land that lay fallow, and we're getting it at least resurfaced. Whether it was gravel or not, it's still being resurfaced. So I agree with that. Mr. Fields, if you want to discuss the questions that were asked about access privileges, you're welcome to right now.
Yes, Mayor and City Council.
Mr. Fields, I've asked for that in writing, so it's not necessary. Excuse me, sir. It's a personnel matter, isn't it?
No, it is not. Go
It's
ahead,
not?
Mr. Fields.
Oh, okay.
Mayor and City Council, as you are aware, one of my tasks as a city manager is to oversee the personnel system. And as such, it's my duty to make sure that the workplace is free from any type of actions that may be construed as creating a hostile work environment. I've counseled Councilmember Stevens on many occasions since I've been working with the city regarding the protocol for interacting with city employees. However, he has not cooperated or respected the request regarding this issue. Specifically, I've asked him not to make unannounced visits to staff or make requests directly to staff. I've asked him to instead go through me for any requests that he may have, so as not to make sure that any requests that he might have do not interfere with any normal workload of city business. As a result of the council members' actions, I've received numerous complaints from city staff that they are fearful, feel intimidated, and believe him to be rude. His actions have proven to be disruptive to the organization, to the effective operation of the city, and therefore, as a result, after numerous conversations again with Councilmember Stevens, I was forced to restrict his access to certain areas in the staff in the building.
Thank you.
Well, just for the
Thank you.
record, to
Thank
the
you.
front door of City Hall, would you
excuse
please
me,
note that, Mr.
and
Fields? Would you
excuse
comment,
me,
sir, on the front door?
Excuse me.
I was denied
Council-
access, Mr. Mayor, to the front door of City Hall.
Councilman.
It's
Councilman.
unbelievable.
Anyway, we're adjourned. Thank you.